Hello, all you beautiful people out there. What is going on? It's your friend Barry coming fast with another video, and today we are going to be comparing OverPrime versus Fault. We're going to be pitting the two current Paragon zombie titles against each other, and it's going to be a clash of the titans over here in this video. So if you do enjoy the content in this video, please drop a like. Otherwise, you guys don't have to do shit. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want. As always, I want to remind you guys that I do stream these games pretty much every single day now. So you guys can go ahead and follow me on twitch.tv/BrittichHD and turn notifications on to make sure you guys never miss a live stream, or join my Discord channel. You get, well, or follow me on Twitter. You get, well, whatever your cup of tea is, I don't care. But I'm live all the time. So you have no excuse to say, well, I didn't see the updates, when you could have clicked on one link. Could have learned everything ahead of everybody else and be on top of the game. But with that out of the way, let's move into the video and talk about these two behemoths of the post-Paragon world. Now, I want to compare these two games, or pseudo games, so to speak, in a very objective manner. I think that's the most fair way to do it. And at the end of this video, I'm going to explain to you guys which one I prefer and why. Because I get this question asked a lot in my streams, and I just wanted to make a video kind of gathering my thoughts and throwing it down into one place. Now, we've had some time to play OverPrime since it's been released about a week at this point now. And Fault, of course, has been around for much longer. So I want to begin this video by stating that there are some things that are just unfair to compare. That didn't mean to rhyme, but there are some things that are unfair to compare between these two games right now, simply due to how long they've been around, how long they've been in the public vision, so to speak. If you want to compare when things like balance, it's really hard to do that in a fair way, because again, OverPrime has only been released to a large audience for a very small period of time compared to Fault. But you could also make the argument that Overthrow has been around for a really long time, and Overthrow is very similar to OverPrime, even though OverPrime does have some very striking differences from Overthrow. Now, just a quick intro. Yes, these are two different games, OverPrime and Fault, made by two completely different studios with two completely different visions. I have people confusing the two, thinking they're the same thing. They are not the same thing. These are two separate projects with two separate visions. And that's important to point out for those of you who are new to all this and are just seeing this for the very first time. I wanted to get that across the board. Team Soul Eve, the makers of OverPrime, have taken an approach where they want to have the game look super pretty. They want it to play in a fun way. And at that cost, there have been some issues when it comes to peer-to-peer connectivity and their community servers. They put up an update in their Discord channel today, actually, the day of recording of this video, talking about how they had to get rid of their lobby browsers and community servers in order to increase the stability of it, to recode those servers, and to make them better. And this was one of my issues from the get-go, which I will talk about here in a second. Fault, made by Strange Matter Studios, is not a Korean-based company. They are a North American-based company. And they came with the approach of stability and gameplay first, pretty HUD and graphics later. And these two striking differences are pretty much the surface level differences that a lot of people pay attention to. Now, as I said in my previous video, my honest overview, my honest first impressions of OverPrime, I did say the game's very pretty. But as I played the game more and more, I felt like I found more and more issues with it. I will say, let's start with the pros. Let's start with the good stuff. Again, game's very pretty. The models, pretty. pretty. The gameplay is visceral, right? You shoot somebody, you feel it, which is good, of course. But there were some issues like jungle minions looking weird, not resetting in the camp properly, lane minions getting stuck in the lane, never making it to clash with the enemy minions in the middle of the lane. You could even get up on top of the map and jump on top of invisible walls and boxes, as I demonstrated on stream, and that could be abused pretty easily. And while a lot of that stuff just seems like little meme things, if you try and play this game at a competitive level, every little thing counts, every second counts, every little glitch or exploit or whatever you want to call it counts. And having this kind of stuff in the game is a big no-no. Now, like I said in the beginning, they haven't been out in the public eyes for too long, and so it's really not that fair to criticize them for not fixing these things right away, and that's not what I want to do in this video. What I want to do in this video is talk about how things are as of right now, because you as a consumer, you don't really care what they had to go through or what happened behind the scenes to get to where they are today. Most people honestly just don't give a damn. They really don't. They don't care. And that's just kind of the honest and brutal truth of it, is that they just want to see the finalized product. And so we're just going to compare the two finalized products, or I guess quote unquote finalized product. They're not final, all right? Everything's subject to change for both games. That's a bad word to use. But both products as they stand right now, that's what we're going to compare. Now, as for Fault, the pros there are that they have servers. That's the biggest thing. That Fault has over OverPrime is they have Amazon servers, dedicated servers in multiple regions that can hold upwards to 10,000 people, as proven time and time again by their closed alphas, where they gave away 10,000 keys. Plus, there were even more keys given out by influencers like me. Make sure you're following me on those socials to know when I give those keys out. And they put the pedal to the metal, and they passed the test when it came to those servers, whereas OverPrime right now is on peer-to-peer connectivity, and these community servers, like I mentioned previously, have to be recoded as well. So they're struggling a bit in that department. Another thing that I like about Fault is that they have this long-term vision set in mind. They've been very, very, very transparent with it, and they've shown us a lot of stuff behind closed doors that I cannot talk to you guys about right now. I wish I could. But the things that I have seen have just kind of made me feel more comfortable in and believe more in the team behind Fault. Because like any good investor, you want to see the 5-year, 10-year plan before you invest a lot of money and time into a company. And that's basically what this stuff is, right? People are looking to invest into these games because they want Paragon back, or they want a game like Paragon back. And they're willing to drop 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever it is, to help out these studios. But, you know, people only have so much money, and they can't be spread thin, so they have to kind of pick and choose which ones they want to get behind. And the things that I've seen behind Fault's closed doors have me really excited and really looking forward to the future. So that's another big up on Fault. When it comes to OverPrime and Team Soul Eve, they haven't really shown us like a long-term vision with their game yet, and they haven't talked to us, like they haven't sat down and talked to us as much as Strange Matter Studios has talked to us about Fault. And maybe that's the language barrier with the Korean developers. There are people who translate from Korean to English on that team, but again, that's kind of a plus I'm going to put on Fault's side of the tally sheet. Now, when it comes to cons, Fault isn't perfect, of course. They need to add things to the game that make it feel like you're more into the action. Right now, people have said that it feels a little floaty. And while I tend to disagree with that, I will agree that you do need a little more oomph to the game. You need to know when you land a hit. You need to know when you get hit. You need to have indicators when you're low on health, when you need to be getting out of a situation. It needs to feel a little more interactive, a little more visceral, a little more you know, like everything is implemented into this one big system, and you're feeling every part of it in a very easy manner. You don't have to try and focus super hard on realizing what happens where on your HUD, on your screen, because there could be a lot of stuff going on your screen at once. You need to make sure that the important information is highlighted very well, and the feedback is there. And right now, they do need to work on that kind of stuff. The HUD, the menu, all that stuff also needs to be improved, but that stuff is being worked on currently. I can tell you guys that it will improve by the time early access rolls around. And that's another thing that I forgot to mention in the pros, is that Fault is going to be on Steam. Steam is a very safe platform to be on, and it's going to help bring in future people to the game, and it's going to be free when it officially fully releases Steam, whereas OverPrime so far has this kind of janky client system where you have to go and you have to use WinRAR or 7-zip to unzip the files and then just, you know, replace files through patches, and it's just very inconvenient in comparison to how we just do things nowadays in the video gaming industry. Now, having said all that, there's one more thing I want to mention, and that's the gameplay differences that are the big striking difference to me. In OverPrime, when it comes to the gameplay, it's super duper fast paced. You have travel mode, and you have boots, and you have other items that improve your movement speed. And it just seems super duper deathbally. It just seems like everybody wants to group up, run around, and gank non-stop past the 10-minute mark. And I really did not like that back in the day. I remember there was a state in Paragon where that was the quote-unquote meta. Everyone called it the death ball meta, where all the teammates group up into the one big unit of death, this ball of death, and just snowball, steamroll across the map as this 5-man gang squad just run around and get kills in every lane. And it felt a little more like Team Deathmatch, more so than a MOBA. And yeah, you can get objectives off of that, but the counter to that is Fault's gameplay, which is much slower. They just recently changed the movement speed to make it slower until you get boots, which is now the same as it was back in the day, a couple weeks ago. Back in the day. Like it's 1940, right? But the farming phase feels more important, and when you rotate from lane to lane, you feel like you have a more important decision to make, and you really do carry the burdens of your actions more because it takes so long, or not so long, but it takes longer for you to rotate from lane to lane, and by the time you rotate to a different lane, you might lose out on that farm that you otherwise could have had. So you better make sure that when you're rotating to this objective that your team takes that objective. And I really like that risk-reward kind of gameplay that MOBAs tend to give you, where you have to really coordinate your attacks well and really time stuff well. Because when you can just run around the map sprinting like chickens without heads, it doesn't seem like, you know, it seems very casual. And I hate to use that word, but I'm a competitive player at heart, and it just seems very, very casual and not something that I can get behind in the long-term gameplay-wise. And that is why I do prefer playing Fault currently right now, if you guys haven't guessed by now, to OverPrime. In the very beginning of this video, I said that the more and more I play OverPrime, the more little things I find that I just don't sit well with. And you guys can have a completely different opinion, of course. I can't believe I have to say that out loud, but if you like OverPrime, you like OverPrime. I'm not trying to convert you. I just know a lot of people want to know my opinion on the matter, and as it stands right now, barring all the, like I said in the beginning, you know, barring all the discussion about, well, OverPrime's only been around for a week in public eyes and Fault's been around for a while, they had more time to process and digest their criticism, etc., etc., on a completely purely surface level, as it stands right now, here's OverPrime, here's Fault. Which one do I prefer? I prefer Fault right now. And again, that's just because I like the way the gameplay works. I like the fact that there are servers. I like the fact that it's just easy to download, right? Like, I've been downloading it on Steam. I've been downloading the updates on Steam just like you would download any other updates on any other PC game on Steam. Super easy. You pop in once your account is made, and it's just fluid. Like, their skeleton, their foundation is all there, and all they have to do is just put the finishing touches on the house, basically. And that's what they will be doing through early access, past early access, until full release. And again, that long-term vision that I know about, that they have shared with us already, is very, very reassuring. And they've shared this with you guys as well on their Trello page. They've laid out what they want to do, when they want to do it, and they're pretty on top of things. There are some things that are getting delayed, but they've never missed a date. When they said they had a closed alpha, they hit that closed alpha date. And I expect them to do the same for the early access date as well. So my ball is in Fault's court as it stands right now. I didn't want to talk about predecessor or core in this video because lately these are the two big games that everyone's talking about, OverPrime and Fault. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents down there, see what you guys thought as well. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this gameplay video comparing the two games. You guys can make your own decisions when it comes to that. Like I said, is purely your own opinion at this point. You guys can like OverPrime, you guys can like Fault. I will still try to play both as much as I can, but I will probably be playing Fault a little bit more just because it's a little easier to find games, especially now since they got rid of the community server for the time being in OverPrime. It's a little tricky finding those IP addresses, port forwarding to be your own host. It's just a lot of extra steps that it just adds a bit more hassle. But anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, like I said in the beginning, drop a like. It helps me out tremendously. Come check out my stream and ask me any more questions, and we can vibe together during this whole quarantine thing. That was my sure have a wonderful day. That was huge. Oh my god, Tally, are you fucking kidding me?
No, push
I'm getting out of here.
Push me.
No fucking way that hit me, dude. No fucking way that hit me. You're so weird! Why would you chase me?